This is Robert Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. With me right now is Derek Peterson from Terra Tech. The symbol is TRTC. Derek, welcome to SNNLive.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So for our audience that may not know the story of Terra Tech, let's get an overview of the company.
Okay, it's a little complex in nature. The easiest way to answer it is we're bifurcated between two different divisions. We have a produce division where we cultivate produce, anything you would see in your refrigerator, leafy greens, herbs, and those types of things. We sell through a brand called Edible Garden. We're in about 1,800 retailers, Walmart, Marshalls, Kroger's in the Northeast and the Midwest. On the cannabis side of the business, we have a couple different endeavors. We have the state of Nevada. We just won 8 permits there. We're in the process of building out 2 cultivation facilities, 2 extraction and production facilities, as well as 4 retail facilities throughout Las Vegas and Reno. In California, we just launched earlier this year a brand of cannabis that's in about 180 retailers throughout the state right now. We're continuing to expand on that. That brand's called IVXX, which is the Roman numerals for 420.
Okay, so there's a couple different verticals that we're talking about here. So let's take it one by one, starting with Edible Gardens, Nevada, and then also in California.
Perfect. Yeah, so the Edible Garden was always the backbone of the company. It was the first division that we started. We operate about 500,000 square feet of Dutch-style hydroponic greenhouse back on the East Coast in New Jersey. And again, we're a locally grown initiative there, which means we don't deliver to anything that's over and above, say, 4 hours away from our facility. We've gotten a lot of traction in the Northeast. We're in major retailers like Walmart, Stop and Shop, Kroger's, Marshalls, and that footprint's continuing to expand, and the breadth of products is continuing to expand. The beauty of that facility is it ties back into the cannabis, being that eventually, it's already legalized, but eventually when Chris Christie leaves office, they're going to probably have a drastic expansion in the medical cannabis program there. And if and when they do, we have significant infrastructure already in place that's growing produce that will be complementary product that we'll be able to produce in there down the line. That ties right into the other divisions, specifically Nevada, where we'll be producing there from a large-scale commercial capacity. And the beauty is we have expertise in food-grade quality production. We're GFSI certified, which is Global Food Standard Initiatives. We're organic certified on the produce side, and all those same processes and techniques will pull back into our cannabis cultivation, and that's why consumers have had so much confidence in our cannabis products, because they know what they're getting at the end of the day is something that's grown in a very comprehensive and traditional manner, but has a significant amount of protocols and protections in the cultivation project, which reduces the risks of pesticides, toxins, and those types of things that may find their way into the product.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually was leading into my next question, because I was curious as to, you had the produce side. It sounds like you already developed a way in which that you do produce the food that you do at these at this farm. And then it just made sense that it would then tie in with cannabis, because you'd use similar, if not the same processes to then grow the cannabis.
Listen, it's an agricultural product at the end of the day. So for us, it's a different seed. It requires a different management process and those types of things, but it's nothing different than the differences of, say, basil and tarragon or oregano. So we have expertise in commercial grade cultivation. We wanted to carry that expertise over into the commercial cultivation of cannabis. And we wanted to make sure we were branding the entire supply chain. So while we have one division that goes out and gets the permits and goes through the legislative process like we did in Nevada, we have another division, MetaFarm, that actually produces the product. So once the product's cultivated or extracted, it's then put into IVX packaging, and it's distributed out to multiple retailers, including our own retail chain, which is BLUM or Bloom. And that's all of our retail chains are going to have the similar look and feel throughout the country. So whether you walk into a Bloom in California or whether you walk into a Bloom in the Las Vegas Strip area, you're going to have the same experience. You're going to see the same products. And that's something the industry's really been lacking, is that level of kind of consistency from one location to the next. And we want to bring what's no different than any other franchise on the planet, we want to bring to the cannabis consumption process.
Well, what's interesting is that, I've been following cannabis for a while, and that's one thing that everyone's calling for, is they want to make sure that it's a streamlined process. You know where it's growing, you know where it's coming from. Just like when, farm to table, you want to know where your food was killed, and that's where you want to have your chicken from.
It's not rocket science. There's no difference from our perspective. And those retailers that you've seen in the news lately, they've got themselves in trouble with pesticides showing up. That hasn't necessarily been their fault. They're putting stuff on their shelves from other producers. They don't know necessarily what went into the production of that, and that's a huge reputational and branding risk for them. We wanted to alleviate that, and that was the reason we wanted to own the entire vertical from seed to sale, and that was one of the strengths in our business market and opportunities, and we're going to have a real opportunity to showcase that in the state of Nevada.
Okay, so a couple questions on the corporate side. I'm a little curious about what are some of the growth drivers for the business. And it kind of relates also to the competition, because what you're saying that you guys are doing, from what my understanding, a lot of potential competitors are guys who may have done it, when they were in college
Sure.
and are now trying to take a more commercial scale, whereas you're coming at it from a more farming perspective, and then growing it and scaling it out.
Yeah. There's kind of the fragmented mom and pops that have been doing it for a long time, and they produce unbelievable products, but they don't necessarily have the ability to scale. Then there's the other people that have institutional money and capital behind them, but don't necessarily have the expertise. We've had a great fortune of being able to blend both those opportunities together. So for us, having that expertise as well as the capital to build out scalable models in different locations has been a pretty powerful tool. And we wanted to make sure that Nevada was the place that we were able to showcase that. California as well. Those are the two biggest markets in the country. So if we can have significant penetration in California and also have significant penetration in Nevada, the beauty of that is ultimately the two biggest catalysts that we're going to see is recreational legalization. It's on the ballot in Nevada, it's on the ballot in California, and the likelihood of those passing, in our opinion, is significant. That's a game changer for the industry because no longer is the product just open and available to patients. It's now available to anybody that's of the age of majority, and that's a powerful paradigm shift for us. And we want to make sure that we're positioned to be able to do that, and you need scale and scope and the ability to operate larger scale facilities to accomplish that.
And with regard to even Colorado, where it's already legal, and Washington, where's the company positioned in those two states, for example?
It's always legislation forward for companies like us, and it means responsible legislation equals responsible business. The problem, say, for example, in Colorado, as great of a job as they've done with the marketplace there, they have a residency requirement in the legislation. So as a public company, we can't actually own there, which is one reason we're not in Colorado. But at the end of the day, as many headlines as Colorado has gotten, their market's really only as big as the Bay Area in California. So California is one of the largest economies on the planet. They're definitely the largest cannabis market in the United States. We've got great penetration there already. In Nevada, because of the multi-state reciprocity, and what I mean by that is they'll take cardholders in from any state. So if you're a cardholder from New York or Michigan, you can come to Nevada, buy a product in one of our dispensaries, and it was a great entrepreneurial model. Couple that with the potential legalization for recreational use in 2016, the market there is going to explode. We think that's probably number 2, maybe number 3 from size and scope in the United States. So there's a lot of other markets out there, but to us, those were the 2 most important, and that's where our primary focuses are.
Okay, so moving forward, from what you can tell me, what are some of your goals and aspirations moving into 2016 for the company?
Well, the biggest goals and objectives for 2016 is to get the facilities open in Nevada. We should have all the dispensaries, the retail dispensaries, open by no later than May. Some of them as early as February of 2016. The cultivation facilities, the latter part of the year, early 2017. That's our biggest push for next year, is making sure those facilities get open and making sure we do a good job of driving traffic to those facilities. In addition, the continued launch and the continued growth of the Ivex brand throughout California. California is going through a legislative change from the medical side as well as the potential recreational legalization. We want to make sure that footprint is large as possible going into those legislation paradigm shifts to make sure we have as much market penetration. So those are the 2 biggest initiatives: expansion of the IVXX brand as well as the building out of Nevada, and then obviously continuing to expand the edible garden footprint, which is something that's extremely important to us as well.
And also for our audience, what's your background?
I come from finance, so I spent about 11 years on Wall Street in different capacities working for, say, Wachovia, Morgan Stanley. What piqued my interest in this industry is I started looking at it, say, in early 2010, late 2009, started looking at it using some standard analyst type metrics. And if you look at revenue per square foot as a great model for retail, your Targets of the world, your Walmarts of the world will do a couple $100 in revenue per square foot. Your higher end retailers like Cartier or Louis Vuitton, $1,000 to $1,500. Apple Computer is one outlier that exists in the industry. They're about $4,000 in revenue per square foot. What I was finding with these medical cannabis dispensaries is they were doing anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 in revenue per square foot. And that's really where that proverbial light bulb went off for me. And I tried to figure out how to blend my expertise on Wall Street with my passion for doing something in this space. And here we are today with a public company and touching the plant. We're the only public company in the country that's actually manufacturing and producing cannabis, which is pretty interesting from a regulatory standpoint.
For sure. So where can our audience go and find out more information on Terra Tech?
Our website is terratechcorp.com, and if you want to learn more about the Ivex brand, it's ivxx.com. If you want to learn more about Edible Garden, it's ediblegarden.com.
And that's TERRTECH corp.com. My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. Again, with me has been Derek Peterson from Terra Tech. TRTC is the symbol. Derek, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having us on. I appreciate it. Take care.